supposed to be 3 to 6 feet of snow on
You're
Sunday.
kidding.
All right, you can begin when you're ready.
All right, good
Wow.
evening, everyone,
Okay.
and welcome to the November 16th, 2022 meeting of the CB6 Executive Committee. My name is Kyle Athide, and I'm the chair of CB6. This meeting is being called to order at 6:32 p.m. And tonight we are joined by District Manager Jesus Perez. As a reminder to all, New York State law now requires all community board members to have their cameras on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. If your camera is not on and your name not properly displayed, you cannot count towards quorum. Tonight's minutes will be taken by CB6 Secretary Steve O. We will now take attendance by roll call. Jesus will conduct the roll call. Please answer present when your name is called.
Whoever is typing in their computer, please mute yourself. All right. Committee members, I will call your name and you will unmute yourselves. When your name is called, please say present. I will announce after the roll call whether there is quorum or not. Kyle Athide.
Present.
Thank you. Elvie Barroso.
Present.
Thank you. Claire Brennan.
Present.
Thank you. B. Disman.
Present.
Thank you. Adam Hartke. Adam Hartke. I'm not looking at grid view, so all right, I'm taking that as a no. John Keller.
Here, present.
Thank you. Sandra McKee.
She's not here, but I believe we have Majed in her stead as an attendee, so can
Let me see then.
promote him, I believe.
Hi, everybody. Present. Thank you, Jesus.
Okay, no problem. All right. So Majed in place of Sandy. Rich Mintz.
Present.
Thank you. Steve O.
Present.
Thank you. Reshma Patel. Reshma Patel. I don't think she was joining us tonight, so I'll put no. Matt Roberts.
Present.
Thank you. Sandro Sherrod.
I'm present. I'm probably going to be off camera. I apologize. I know that doesn't count towards quorum, but I have to do some shopping for a sick elderly neighbor.
All right. Thank you.
I'm not sick.
Another one.
You should not refer to your fellow board members that way.
Sandro.
Mark Thompson.
Present but healthy.
That's good to hear. Thank you. Brian Van Nieuwenhoven.
Present.
Thank you. Mara Wong.
Present.
Thank you. With 13 of 15 present, there is quorum.
Fantastic. All right. So the agenda for tonight's meeting appears on the screen before you. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. So members of the executive committee, if you object to adopting the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom. Okay, seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the October 19th meeting were distributed to executive committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we will adopt these minutes as drafted. So committee members, if you object to adopting the minutes, please raise your hand through Zoom. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the October 19th meeting are adopted. Before we jump into business, just some ground rules. First, no one may speak until granted the floor. To committee members, if you have a question about committee business or wish to make a motion, please first raise your hand through Zoom. And the chat function, again, should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. The chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having, or to state in writing information such as an email address or link that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. And again, please make sure that you have your Zoom cameras on and your first and last name displayed during tonight's entire meeting. So I'll begin with the chair's report. I'll be very short tonight. So the first thing is I want to welcome the new executive committee of CB6. I know I did it at the full board, but this is our first executive committee meeting with our new members and some returning members as well. So just want to, congratulate everybody again and welcome everybody to the executive committee. Really looking forward to working with everybody over the course of this next year. So as you've probably already seen from meetings you've attended in the past, we use this as a strategy session. This is where we help organize the rest of our full board business and our visions over the course of the year. So please feel free to jump in at any point with ideas, thoughts, and feedback that you have. Do not, I don't think anyone will because I know the person of this board, but do not be quiet. Feel free to jump in at any point. Second thing is following up on work that we have done before on the districting commission presented its final version of the maps on November 3rd, I believe it was. This took into consideration all of the feedback that they received from New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, but especially want to thank our community advocates from the Sutton Place area who really took a lead on this. And as a community board, we were more than happy to partner up and amplify these voices in the process and to actually see these changes made in the final version of these copies. So just want to congratulate everybody again on this victory. And then the last thing, just in terms of some board organization, I know that many people are aware of some vacancies for chairships and vice chairships. We are in the process of filling those out. But one that I'm very happy to announce tonight is the appointment of Majed as the new vice chair of the land use committee. And I know he's already hit the ground running as a new member and has worked very closely with Sandy on a number of land use issues. And already tonight, he's fulfilling his duties as a vice chair. So want to congratulate Majed, but more information about other chairs and vice chairships will be coming forth as well. So thank you. And Majed, I don't know if you wanted to say something quickly.
No, just want to say thank you. And I know Adam and others have been in this committee, so I'll probably have a lot of questions offline, but thank you all.
Thank you. All right, we'll now move on to District Manager Jesus Perez.
All right, everyone, just a few quick things. One, especially since Reshma's not here, I can confirm that for the first time in many years, we submitted our district needs statement and budget requests on time. So hopefully this will be the trend going forward, and we can the Department of City Planning, to whom we must submit this information to, was especially grateful that we did it on time and sent us a note of thanks for doing so, because many boards do not. So fingers crossed for next year too. Additionally, as you guys may have heard when I reported on it at full board, but since it did come up here once or twice, I'll report it again. The Humane Society concern, there were some folks concerned that there was animal warehousing happening at the Humane Society building, which happens to be in the northern end of our district. We looked into it, CB6 looked into it, and it turns out that while there are animals there, they are being adopted little by little, but they are being adopted. And we urged the health department, the city's health department, which is the agency that has jurisdiction here, to conduct an inspection, which they did last month. And they confirmed to us that animals had been adopted. They saw documentation of this, as well as vaccination records. While I believe the folks who had reached out to us might continue to pursue this, they were very grateful to CB6 saying that we were the only ones that actually looked into it of the many entities that they reached out to. So we're glad to have been of help. Lastly, I know some of you already know, but our community associate, Alexandra Crawford, will actually be leaving us at the end of the month. I believe she's already informed the chairs of the committees that she's assigned to work with. And so I'm informing, obviously Kyle already knew, I'm informing the rest of exec because we suspect that she will be leaving us before the next full board. So just FYI, by the end of the month, she should be transitioning out to another agency. All right. And oh, one last thing. You may see a timer appear on your screen. I'm going to be testing a timer out that I think might work well for full board. So if you see a timer, don't worry, you're not under the clock, though don't be verbose. It's just that we're testing it out. If it happens to go off, don't freak out. It's a lot less piercing than the one that we use for full board. So just, we're testing it out. And so just please don't get freaked out by that. It'll be in and out throughout the meeting. So I wanted to test it in a real meeting setting, and exec was a perfect opportunity for that. That concludes my report, unless anyone has any. I see a hand raised. Beatrice Disman requests the floor.
B, go ahead.
Okay. I like the formality of Beatrice, but that's okay.
I'm
This
sorry.
is having gone through this with you and all that hiring process. When do you anticipate a process of attempting to hire a replacement, given I assume the budget exists?
We have already gotten the ball rolling on that. It takes about 2 months to fill a position in the city. We have to go through through the Office of Management and Budget. They are not on our schedule. And we need to time it right because it needs to coincide with the full board vote. So yeah, I would say about 2 months. So we're shooting for January.
Thank
But
you.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think you'll be optimistic for January, but hopefully by February you'll have someone.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no further questions, I'm gonna miss that beeping noise. I always thought like a cake was done or something, but
I'll call your cell phone and play it in the middle of the night, even just for.
Well, I didn't say that. All right, let's move on to our committee business, and we'll start off with transportation with Mr. Met himself.
Yes. So let me attempt to format this with a recap of the previous meeting, with the caveat that 1, I was almost like on a fever dream during the meeting, and 2, it's a little hard to get to from can't get to the website because the way the minutes work. I'm pulling it up right now because I want to get my memory jogged. We discussed a lot of stuff at the last meeting. Should be under reminder. Okay. Are the agenda items? Yes, they are. Last meeting, we passed a resolution for the one bus stop, the least controversial bus stop of the many in the packet. We don't know if Academy's coming back. Tentatively, we're looking at that, but they haven't reached out to us with a further request at this time. The second thing that we discussed was we got through our budget requests that are rollovers. That does not mean that we will not bring up more budget requests or revisit what we have, but we did a voice vote to confirm that whatever has not been funded up until this point will continue to be funded. We had no substantive objections to any of the existing budget items that have yet to be fulfilled. We discussed 3rd Avenue and the Sam Schwartz plan and the project area that covered the Sam Schwartz plan. One thing that came to light since the meeting, because there had been some questions, and B, you'll be interested to hear this, is that right before we got the study back from Sam Schwartz, the committee passed a resolution stating that we wanted improvements on Third Avenue, and it specifically formatted those improvements in a particular way. And that is what we went to Sam Schwartz with to say, these are the kind of improvements that we want to prioritize. So this gives us sort of an explanation why there's no bus lanes or bike lanes in the Sam Schwartz plan, because that wasn't part of the resolution that we passed right before the Sam Schwartz study was conducted. So that said, we can ask for whatever we want at this point. And one of the things we'll be talking about in a second is what we're discussing in December with that. So B, there was justification for this, and there was a kind of a loop going around with this. Once the Sam Schwartz plan came back, we had our resolution, we had a plan, we showed it to DOT. DOT knows about it. It has been a productive process so far, but it does also kind of look like DOT is going to ignore us, because DOT's suggested changes are not going to include the improvements that we asked for. The fourth thing we discussed last month, we did a quick discussion about e-mobility and bicycle moped separation, essentially vehicles that go 25 to 30 miles an hour, trying to get them out of the bike lanes that are on the curb and trying to figure out what to do with them, and also acknowledging that there is a problem with East River crossings with these vehicles since DOT provides none. I did provide a suggestion of like what it might look like to, or what it might sound like to do a separated lane for those particular vehicles and mimic what we've done with the bike lanes, but provide a different facility for them. The committee will have to discuss what they want at future meetings. So we'll continue to have that on the agenda. We didn't discuss much about 57th and First, but that email discussion continues, and I've encouraged that working group to make a plan for a resolution at this point. We just did our normal stuff with chair's report, which I waived, NYC DOT, and I forget if there was new business at that meeting. There was new business at full board about the battery fires. So they had a council meeting this week about that. They're making a lot of suggestions. The battery fires that are happening seem to be these weird situations where people are running repair shops in their apartments. There's not just one person with the scooter leaning against the wall, lighting a whole building on fire. So we'll continue to look at that, but there's a lot of really interesting information out there, including whether or not it's actually electrical overloads that are starting the fires and not the batteries themselves. We will look more into that, but it looked like there were some guidelines about it. The city might do some things to let people who own those devices know, not to obviously store full-size mopeds in their apartments, but also to keep them away from combustible areas and doorways and whatnot. They can be volatile if there is a fire, but there's something like 1 in 10 million fires per battery. So we'll consider how we discuss that in the future. Now for the December meeting, we're going to tentatively discuss Little Armenia Way unless they do not come back to us. I had a phone conversation with them that was casual in October. They may be ready with their surveys at that point. If they're not, we'll just roll them forward. 2, we're going to discuss Sammy's Law, because that was something that had been on our agenda that we actually passed a resolution of support, and it was one of the very few things in our legislative background that did not get passed by a legislative body. 3, we're going to discuss the Third Avenue thing again. We may or may not pass a reso on that. 4, we're going to discuss the e-mobility stuff again. We'll just leave some space for it. We'll probably roll that forward. 5, we're going to bring up East 57th and First Avenue, see if those guys have a resolution, and then the usual procession of the end of the meeting. The only other thing I wanted to bring up is that, as some of you will know, the FDR forum that we were supposed to have last night, we have pushed it forward to the new year. I will reach out to people as much as I can, but we want to now have featured speakers during this meeting and have a more defined program, and also present a definite opinion about what we think should happen, in part because this will help us bring in professionals who know about what's going on with that. By the way, yes, I do see the timer and I see that it's kind of gone off. So I could stop there. If anybody wants to ask me about FDR, just ask me offline. We're going ahead with that because we had 80% of what we needed lined up in terms of the plan, what we want for the future one. By the way, we had over 120 member signups for people to observe, and at least 13 speakers to sign up for the last forum, and all those people will be notified again for the next one.
Thank you so much, Brian. Yeah, and we did have some scheduling issues as well with the holidays coming up and everything, so we figured to be more thoughtful rather than to fit who we had available. So we will continue with that. If anyone has any suggestions or connections, definitely reach out to myself and to Brian. We'll already be reaching out to other members who have some good personal connections related to this matter. But are there any further questions for the Transportation Committee? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to Health and Human Services.
Thank you.
And just FYI, the timer was nothing personal. It was just a test, Brian.
No, it was good. It kept me focused.
Yeah, and I noticed somebody said they didn't hear anything. It did go off. That's how quiet it is. I heard it, so
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
We're still testing it, and it looks like it only appears in my screen. I was hoping it would appear in the screen of the speaker who was speaking, but we're still testing.
Well, actually,
No.
can we go back a little bit? B, do you have anything to report on bylaws? And our next scheduled meeting is in December.
No, actually, we're doing the review, so we're going to do a review again on terms of office, the length of the terms. It seems to keep coming up for members of the board. So we're going to have a couple of discussions, and I hope in January we'll have a document that we could present, because we're going through the items we parked and the things that members of the board, by the way, are still sending suggestions, and they're welcome, because there are different areas than what we've spoken to. And I just did get an update from one of the board members. So I welcome any additional suggestions, Carl.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, B. And now we'll move on to Health and Human Services.
Good evening, everyone. The recap of our previous meeting. We had an update on monkeypox from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. And the most recent data, there are 3,743 reported cases in New York City, and of which 1,487 cases in Manhattan. Majority of cases are males between ages 25 to 34 years of age. The month of July was the highest transmission, but since then we have a steady decline. The most important change is the transitioning of vaccination sites to the Department of Health sexual health clinics that are located at Fort Greene, Jamaica, Chelsea, and Morrisania, and also to the Health and Hospital ambulatory clinics that include the 5 acute pride clinics, Metropolitan Hospital, Bellevue, Lincoln, Woodhall, and the Judson. We also had a presentation on health and equity, access to care, focus group project, and the project is funded by the Department of Health in collaboration with the Equitable Health System for 2 years. The purpose of the project is to find out who among people in the community of color, uninsured, Medicaid insured, are less likely to use private hospital services. They are recruiting to join a 2-hour online focus group via Zoom to discuss experiences accessing healthcare services in New York City, including factors like race, ethnic identity, nationality, health insurance, health services utilized, and medical setting. And participants will receive $40 for participating in the focus group. In our next meeting on December 8th, we will have a presentation on opioid crisis in New York City and also a naloxone training. Attendants to the training will receive a naloxone kit. So I would like to invite our CB6 members to come to the meeting. We are still in the process of planning the 4th webinar series of healthy living in the community. We have not finalized the date, topic, and speaker. And about our future plans, we are again planning for a health fair, which tentatively we are planning in June 2023. And our goal is to support the health and wellness of residents of Community Board 6, the young and the older adults, by increasing knowledge about health services and resources available in the community. And some of our objectives are to provide health education information about good health, preventive medicine, and raise awareness of health risk. To promote and provide health services and resources available in the community, and also to conduct health screening, vaccination, first aid, exercise, fitness, cancer prevention, weight management, nutrition demonstration, dental health, mental health, smoking cessation, hearing test, and emergency preparedness. That's all from me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Elvie. Are there any questions for the Health and Human Services Committee?
Elvie, we have not yet had a
Budget and Governmental Affairs. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Elvie, we have not yet had a confirmation from the speaker for your opioid topic. If we are not able to get them to confirm, then is this meeting canceled?
Oh, no. It's just that I asked them to let me know today before our meeting, but I didn't get any confirmation, but hopefully by tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. But
All right.
I'm not going to cancel the meeting because I would like to meet with our members.
Okay.
A lot of things to discuss. We're probably going to discuss about the plans for the health fair.
Okay. Thank you.
So Budget and Governmental Affairs is canceled, but I will just remind everybody in Reshma's absence that January we're restarting this clock on budget requests. So please get that in mind, that we will restart that process in January. We want to get are submitted on time again next year. This is a new process that we've implemented, so just keep that in mind as well. Public safety has been canceled as well. Matt, do you have any quick words or report to say on anything?
Not really. I mean, so the bystander training that we did last month was very well received. I think we'll do some other programs in the spring to go along with that. No meeting tomorrow, and no meeting in December, although we will try to address the any other angles with that fire safety and battery issue if they're not already covered by other committees. I know there was some comments in full board suggesting joint meetings, but December 15th is the right time to meeting on that. But you know, we're available January to cover any other angles, whether we do a joint or split, you know, different aspects of it. To figure out.
Okay, thanks so much, Matt. Are there any questions? I see a hand up. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, this is about specifically the battery thing. So I mean, like, it's not on my agenda, and a lot of the news on this kind of developed the week that that we had full board last week. Plus, I was out of town right before we had our meeting. So I'm like I was a little like kind of blitzed at the meeting. I would think that I saw the package of bills. Are you going to essentially vote to support the legislation that's already out there? Were you going to make a different recommendation? I feel like we would handle this, but nobody has come to me to get me to put it really on my agenda so much as just sort of that this was brought up and that you guys might be handling it. So, you know, I'm kind of curious as to how that's going to proceed.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I'm not sure, but I mean, I would imagine, I mean, we've taken up similar, pieces of legislation in committee along those lines, but, it's up to the exec committee as to which committee it falls under.
Yeah, I mean, listen, right now, honestly, I don't think it needs to be an agenda item. We can just, monitor the situation as we go forward. Keith has been pretty, upfront about a lot of these issues. I think he just sent out another letter the other day about the strengthening federal regulations on the lithium-ion batteries. So we can just maintain that. What would be interesting though is, Matt, I don't know if there are any trainings on like safety with lithium ion batteries that anyone has, but if there's even like, I don't know, resources about, I know that when I order some things, like if it's a computer or anything like that, like I always get it in a package that says, danger lithium ion batteries included. I don't know that many people know how to like dispose of them properly or anything like that, but if there's like some pamphlets or handouts that we could just share with constituents, even that would be great. I think at this point it's more about how to handle it than the specific regulations of it itself. Steve? Yeah.
I know it was mentioned on the full board of some of the safety certification organizations. It's been a while since I spoke to any of those folks, but those organizations do have outreach programs like Underwriters Laboratories. They do have a New York location out in Long Island. They do have spokespeople and have presented in the news about certain safety issues. They might actually have a handle on their perspective on battery safety. Having seen the labs, what they do for consumer electronics, they go through some extensive testing for things that go into consumers' hands. And as mentioned before, there's nothing that stops a business from selling items that have no safety certification. Talking to someone at an organization like that might be in the right step regarding battery safety.
Mm-hmm. Could you send me some of those resources, Stephen? Those organizations. Brian, yeah.
Yeah, not to dominate the conversation, but just two things about what Stephen just said. One of the bills before the council right now is a bill to outlaw batteries except the ones that are certified by one of the major organizations, so that certified batteries would be legal and devices that have them would be legal. Non-certified batteries would not be legal if that is passed. I would feel comfortable bringing that before my committee, just because I think my committee would be receptive to that. It sounds like a good thing. We could do a joint reso with public safety. I think it'll pass the council anyway, but we could certainly look at that. The other thing is that, I have a device like this and the instructions are pretty clear about how you're supposed to handle these things. And these devices really don't have a problem with following the directions that come with, good devices, name branded devices. Like there's obviously an issue with people buying unbranded stuff that they don't know where it came from, shady shops. So we should probably put an end to that. But the directions for these things are pretty clear, not to do certain things that increase the volatility risk of these batteries. And I feel like every device has them, and there is maybe a little bit of an education gap there that FDNY can address, but it really does seem like the big fires have come from extremely egregious things, like people storing mopeds in apartments and charging many of them at once and overloading the electrical circuit. So this just might be a thing of just normal enforcement and buildings inspections. But yeah, I think I think one thing we can at least think of is that a lot of people who do have these devices are following the directions, and the directions are pretty good so far. But we might need to help step things up a little bit to cover people who are obviously doing the wrong things with them.
Mm-hmm. Stephen, and then that'll be the final comment on this topic, so we don't delve into a committee discussion on this.
Yeah, sorry. It just skirts along the verbiage. I haven't caught up to the what's being addressed in the legislation, but hopefully the verbiage doesn't skirt along the right to repair. Of course, in this case, it sounded like from early reports in the news, he was running a rogue repair shops, aligning batteries with mismatching electronic components, being that one of the most expensive parts of a bike now is the battery. But obviously the legal portion of it should be addressed, that he's running a repair shop in a private home with tons of equipment that are volatile, not the fact that he was trying to repair a device. So just careful about the verbiage that might be in there so it doesn't go up against another one about the right to repair.
Thank you.
Yeah, I put the link that was in the last meeting from the council, that what we covered at the hearing on Monday. It includes all the legislation that's currently before the council.
All right, thank you for that, Brian. B?
I just wanted to make a comment, Carl. I think it's a good subject for both committees, safety and transportation. And there is an aspect when you read all the literature, because I've been following that, the delivery people and the cost of the lithium batteries used or unused and what their outlay is. So I think it's an interesting discussion with all the bills. I'm not too sure which one we would support, but I think it's something that it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a joint meeting of transportation and safety, maybe in December sometime, that we can deal with the issue.
Great. Yeah, I agree. I think we need to see a little bit more of how it unfolds and where we can specifically jump into. Okay, we'll now move on to housing and homelessness. Rich?
Yep. So we have not yet had our November meeting, is coming up next week. Jesus, I got confirmation from the public toilet group and also a deck. So tomorrow I'll follow up with you and you can do the inviting that's necessary for that. Who's going to be running that meeting from the community board side if Alex is on her way out?
It'll either be me or Brendan. We'll divvy up the work. But I was under the impression, you mean the CB5 working group?
Yes.
I was under the impression they already had all their invites and Alex already took care of that.
Oh, maybe they do. I don't have any information about it.
Okay.
We'll check that. But if she reached out to them, it was not in. I wasn't copied on it. So,
forward us the deck if you can.
I will. And then we will be having a follow-up conversation about the dividing up of topics that we did in the previous meeting. Sandra Leftoff has left me in the dust with her research on tenant issues. She has gotten way ahead of me, and I'm going to have to spend a couple of hours tomorrow catching up on her research so that I'm prepared. I haven't talked much to my vice chair because she just got married and I wanted to give her a bit of time, but I'm going to have to loop her back in because I'm going to need to reduce my time commitment. As you may have heard, my mother passed away and I was just in California for a week. We had a lovely memorial service and a lot of family time, but I am the only remaining person in the family who can do this, and I'm going to have to be the one who disassembles her house in which she lived for 40 years and packs up all her stuff. So I'm probably going to end up taking a month in San Francisco for the next 6 months at least. And that may interfere with my ability to manage the committee. So Kyle, I'd like to talk to you about this and see if there's a way for me to get a bit a breathing room.
Yeah, I was going to reply to you after the executive committee meeting.
Yeah.
Message. Yeah. So we'll figure that out. And obviously, first and foremost, condolences to you,
Thank you,
your family, of course, and all of our love and thoughts are with you. And any way we can support you, we will be sure to do so.
Thank you. Like many people's mothers, my mother was a force of nature who distorted the lives of everyone she touched in her entire life. And so it's not just mourning, it's also grappling with the fact that this huge gravitational force is no longer with us.
Absolutely. And knowing you, it does not surprise me that she was a force of nature. So
yeah.
All right, are there any further questions for the Housing and Homelessness Committee? Jesus, are you all set?
I'll follow up with Jesus first thing in the morning.
Fantastic. All right, so then we'll move on to Business Affairs and Licensing. Claire.
Hello, everyone. I am slightly under the weather, so apologies. Just really quickly, we are going to meet in December. Nothing, groundbreaking because there might be some folks who can't join us. Just gonna, focus on the licenses. Kyle, we still have to catch up on bringing the guest in maybe for January. But other than that, we have our November meeting next week, and it's just going to be licenses. Jesus, I know I owed Alexandra a few emails, so I think I fired them all off right before this meeting, but I'll double check right after. And I'm very sad to see her leave us, but as I'll express to her, I'm excited for her new opportunity. Yeah, that's all for me.
And just to confirm, as far as your November upcoming meeting goes, no like additional topics, right? Just the applications.
Yeah.
Same thing for December.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And also, Claire, I have followed up again with ACLU about sex work and decriminalizing it. They're very busy as told this time. So hopefully we'll be able to get something scheduled, just at least a meet and greet. And then hopefully either I had originally asked for the November committee meeting, but we'll see their availability and time to prepare for it. And if not, then we can push it to the December meeting or even January.
Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't stopped on that. So there's like hundreds of emails to that.
Yeah, following up, but hopefully by the new year.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Of course. All right, we'll now move on to youth and education. John.
Thank you. I'd asked Neil Barkley to be here to discuss an item on our November agenda, but he had a commitment at home that came up. I think it was in the form of homework for his kid. We will not, we typically don't meet in December because it's the week of the holiday week, which includes Christmas. But at our meeting on Tuesday, we're going to be addressing at least two issues. The first and highlighted issue is the one that Neil is an expert on, and which I was hoping he would speak about, which is the Public Law 10, which was sponsored by Keith Powers, relating to the safety of school buses. In other words, those little stop signs come out and cars don't stop. And so they're putting up video monitors are supposed to be put up to, assure compliance, because going through one of those, if you've ever been in the countryside or, outside the city, is pretty severe penalty associated with it for cars that take that. So the city has been very reluctant so far to implement this. And so we're going to have a resolution come out of our committee basically urging the mayor and chancellor of the Department of Education to implement Public Law 10. The Department of Education has agreed to send a representative from their transportation department, and they are, I think, waiting to name who that person is, with their seniority driven by whether Councilmember Powers is actually showing up himself, which we're hoping will happen. So the exact name is not available, but Neil and I have spoken with the Department of Transportation at the Department of Education, and they're coming and know that we're meeting on Tuesday. The other issue that we're going to raise, and now we can put a specific name on this, and I've already today spoken on the phone with both Elvie and Claire about this, is issues related to smoke shops located near schools in Manhattan. And the Epiphany School on 28th Street has stepped forward and given us the case study that we think we've needed to address this issue. There's a smoke shop opening up literally across the street from the school, which will be selling CBD, cannabis-related products. And the law, as I understand it, as was explained to me by Senator Kruger's office, is very clear that these shops are not supposed to be within 200 feet. It's the same rule, the 200, 400 feet, 500-foot rule for sale of product, alcohol, and consumption on premises of alcohol will apply to cannabis. So we're going to have parents showing up at the Monday meeting. We're going to get just our Tuesday meeting. We're going to get this issue kicked off. And then I'm going to be in conversations. I've invited both Claire and Elvie, if their schedules allow, especially during Thanksgiving week, to attend the meeting just for information's sake. It's also in Carlina Rivera's district. So we're reaching out to Katie Loeb to have someone from Carlina's office there as well. So we think this could be a major focus for our group as the year goes forward. And we anticipate that, we'll get some blowback in different circles on this, that it will be a complex issue as we move ahead, which is why I'm hoping and happy that we can have health and human services, as well as business affairs and licensing involved in this, and have a 3-committee effort on this issue. And then there's a third issue that is not on the agenda because it hasn't taken shape, and we might even have time for it, which is the Stuyvesant Town Peter Cooper Village community has reached out to us through Susan, who's the president of the group. They'd like to hold their meetings at Baruch Middle School rather, and it is not 100% ADA compliant. But the issue here is that very few schools are 100% ADA compliant. So we're trying to have a friendly conversation through members of the community board with Baruch to see if there's anything we can get done. Because if we end up having to go through the school construction authority or any other group like that, it would become, based on my experience, a long process, and we're hoping it's something we can get addressed within the school. So, but the two things that we can have on the agenda for our November meeting are the school bus safety and public law 11, and issues related to smoke shops located near schools in Manhattan. And now we can specifically reference the Epiphany School on 28th Street, and I'll give you the address. And that also, this is a Keith Powers heavy meeting that also happens to be a school that was attended by Keith Powers himself. So we're hoping to have a lot of interest in this, and I believe Elvie Barroso is familiar with the school. So I'll stop there and allow either Claire or Elvie to make any comments they might want to make on this, or just we can all wait till the committee meeting on Tuesday. Thank you.
All right, thanks, John. Jesus, do you have anything to follow up on?
Yeah, quick questions. So I know this ADA issue is sort of in the mix, but not on the agenda. So just to be clear, it will not be on the agenda.
If it was, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Jesus, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, will it or will it not be on the agenda?
It will not be on the agenda. It will come up in the chair's report or older new business because I don't have enough awareness of where things stand with Baruch to put it formally on an agenda.
Yeah, I'm meeting with the principal this Friday, who is also
that was a hint.
Yeah, who's also our guidance counselor because I went to that school. Principal, but
I just didn't want to name you, Kyle.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm old. But yeah, so we'll find out more information if this is a request that has been made in the past, or if there's any thoughts around it, and based on that conversation, we can proceed accordingly and put something, a resolution of support, or maybe even a budget request or anything like that that needs to go through.
Yeah, that would be helpful. And Rocco, I haven't worked with him since he took over the job at the school years ago when I was on the CEC, but he's a really good guy, and I'm sure if there's anything at all the school can do, they'll be happy to do it. We just need to see. I don't know quite how elaborate the work would be. I mean, I know, for example, at Wagner, you have a set of steps that you have to negotiate, and I think they put in a small elevator that takes people up steps there, but I don't know the extent of the internal issue at Baruch. So that becomes the issue as to whether it can be handled through a school facilities budget, which is managed by the school at the school, not necessarily by the school at the school, or whether it has to go to school construction authority, which becomes a massive undertaking of budgeting and everything else. Thank you. And that's exactly 0000. And I can hear the beep.
Thank you. We have a hand up from Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if you think you needed our input or help on that school bus thing at all.
You know what? That's a really good point. I didn't even think of reaching out, and I apologize. I should have.
It's okay. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
No, and especially since Adonis Rodriguez was the co-sponsor of the bill. So let's talk offline about that.
Yeah, just send me a link to the intro, and I'll take a look at it. And I mean, if it's an intro, if we can do a joint reso, or if we can waive it for your committee, that's fine.
No, that'd be great. I apologize for not dawning on me that the current head of the Department of Transportation was a co-sponsor of the bill with Keith. That was my bad.
And yeah, I heard the beeps.
Now I hear it. Yeah.
Apparently it is quiet. It's not as
It's so much better. The old beep was ear piercing when it went off. So thank you.
And I think this one, we could still use it, but I think it's more for just having a timer that's not external to Zoom, because what this one does, it gets freaked out every time like my little CB6 background, I had to disable that because it can't do both. My camera has to always be on because the timer you won't be able to see it if my camera is off. We can't really be sharing slides on the screen, so we can use it. It's just, and we can hear it perfectly fine, so we need to interject. But yeah, it's better for the ear, at least for as you guys are concerned. But yeah, it's not perfect yet. I was hoping that the speakers would be able to see. And I'm actually wondering real quick.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, I could see it. Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. But thank you for everyone for accommodating all these tests.
Yeah. I will say the previous one did stop people in their tracks if they were going over it. This is a little gentle and nice. All right. Moving on from youth and education, we'll go to last but not least, land use. Jed, take it away.
Great, thank you. So I will only share the agenda for today. Jesus, I don't know if you can pull that up, but really we have three main items. We're going to start with, I can hold off.
Yes. You mean the November one or the December one?
The November 28th one. December, we're pushing that because of scheduling conflict to January 6th, January 5th, I believe.
Yes.
Right. So for November 28th, we are, the first item is continued discussion on City of Yes. Again, we left off, but didn't finish the discussion, and there are, we will have a resolution on text amendment. So we're joined again by George James. We will have introduction to our the CV6 planning fellow. Her name is Laureen Makar. Already met with her, me and Sandy a couple of times. I already have a planned walkthrough with her. So she'll come share a little bit about what's the research, what is she doing for the next 5 months. She's with us until April. And lastly, we're going to do a quick discussion, just recommendations from the report, which is the look back at Manhattan, the 197A. that's 2008. That was finished 2019. We're hoping that what Laureen works on carries that forward, and there'll be just next steps from there. We won't have East Side coastal resiliency discussion, so that's dropped off the agenda, and that's mainly it.
Thank you, Majed. Jesus, do you have any follow-up or?
No?
Okay, anyone else? Any further questions for Majed and the Land Use Committee? All right, seeing none. Awesome job, Majed, on your first
Thank you.
executive committee report. Yeah. Short and
Thank you.
sweet. All right, so with that, we'll now move on to old or new business. If any committee member has any old or new business, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 7:27 p.m. I hope everyone has a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving break, and looking forward to see everyone in December.